What is that one book that absolutely changed your life? I remember when I read Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean M. Orwell. I was about 10 years old and I had seen the movie a dozen times before I found out it was a book. I devoured it in 2 days. I was hooked on the whole series for decades and it started my obsession with books. I will read anything but historical fiction is my favorite, and it started with the Earth's Children series. The Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. I had zero intention to stop smoking when I started reading that book. To say I was skeptical about it would be an understatement. I was a heavy chain smoker. Smoked more than anyone I knew. But I went cold turkey after I read it. 3 years strong. I have not had a single puff since finishing that book. If you smoke, you want to read this book now. I wish I read it earlier. Edit. Just wanted to plug our No Smoke for those who want support or information about stopping smoking. There is a monster at the end of this book. It really led me on a journey to overcome my fears and deeply examine what it means to be a monster. Also, pulling really hard against Grover to turn the pages helped me get buff. Really, I was helping Grover face fears he was not ready to face. But we faced them together. Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. The things other people have put into my head, at any rate, do not fit together nicely, are often useless and ugly, are out of proportion with one another, are out of proportion with life as it really is outside my head. Probably Redwall because it got me into reading as a child, and later writing. A Brief History of Time. The insanity and complexity of the universe was explained in understandable terms. Bonkers. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo when I was 18. I didn't go to high school for reasons, and this book made me go get my high school degree and go to college because I wanted to become a journalist because of that book. I graduated college last month. June. Fear is the Mind Killer. Also, A Wrinkle in Time. Where the Red Fern Grows. It still has the best imagery of any book I've ever read. A must-read for dog lovers. The End of Mr. Y. My ex-partner threw it at my face during an argument and knocked down and burst my forehead. So I left her and totally changed my ambitions in life. Kinda funny. Sometimes I see that book and scowl. And wonder what people think is going on. Thinking fast and slow. I had no idea how my over-reliance on my intuition was impacting my ability to think through tough problems. It has forever changed the way I look at the world. My Side of the Mountain. I was young and have always camped and loved the outdoors. Still do. But this book had such an exciting story. It's about a boy who runs away from home and plans to live in the wild on his own. He goes to a library and checks out a bunch of books on survival and lives in the forest. He even burns the base of a large tree and hollows it out and makes a living space inside. It's a super easy read, but I loved every page. Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. An incredible sci-fi book that was written in the 80s and is a mix of apocalypse fiction, socio-political critique and resilience. Completely changed my worldview and put me on the path to sustainable off-grid living, which I'm really grateful for. Edit. I also equally love the sequel Parable of the Talents, and there's an amazing podcast called Octavia's Parables that came out last year, which goes through each chapter of the book. I recommend it for anyone thinking about starting the book or rereading it. It's like being in a book club that goes at your own pace. Neuromancer. It somehow gave me hope. Might have been at a low point in my life. I really can't say. But I started collecting books again. Reading more. And I put up with way less shit from people. There's got to be a reason somewhere. So I'm giving credit to William Gibson. The Phantom Tollbooth. I reread it after hearing that Norton Juster passed. It may have resonated more with me at 32 years old than reading it as a child. The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. When I was 13 years old, I had a long school bus ride home from school, almost an hour long, and would pass the time by reading. One day I was in the library frantic for something because I had no book and picked out in astronomy one that was called From the Big Bang to Planet X by Terence Dickinson, and had a fetching picture of the Andromeda Galaxy on its cover. That book. Wow. I was completely enchanted about outer space. And by the time I was done reading it, I knew I wanted to be an astronomer. I remember thinking at the time how fantastical it was that people could have that job. But anyone who was an astronomer was 13 once, and this was a thing you could do, even if you lived in Pittsburgh. Anyway, that was over 20 years ago. And there were many twists and turns along the way. But I'm now 2 years into working as a professional astronomer at Harvard. I just submitted a paper last week on a black hole that ripped apart a star, which was super fun to work on, and I couldn't help but think a lot about how excited 13-year-old me would be to see how it's going. I don't know if she would have believed it. Where the Red Fern Grows fucked me up as a kid. Mouse. The first and only graphic novel to win a Pulitzer Prize. Edit. It is a book about a second-generation survivor of the Holocaust retelling his father's memoirs of the event. This semi-biographic book puts into perspective the whole feeling of absolute terror and give us an insight on the before-after situation. The Jews are portrayed as mouses and the Nazis as cats, elaborating on the whole cat and mouse chase premise, which demonstrates the horrors the Jewish felt. Although it is a graphic novel, its images do really say more than words. It is to this day the only book which has made me cry and feel hurt. It makes the whole subject feel very personal. The Long Walk by Stephen King greatly shows the variety of lives and some lessons about the life itself. The Kite Runner completely eye-opening, and an emotional roller coaster. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy got me into reading. Ender's Game for sure. It was just mind-blowing to my little 10-year-old self. Calvin and Hobbes, no question, got me into my love of comics.